congregation and entire Nigerians for their concern and prayers. As people who attended the prayer heard the voice of the president who spoke from London to Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje in the course of his address, they are living happily and optimistic that the president will come back hale and hearty.
We are gathered here today for prayers, and Allah instantly answered our prayer. So we are very happy to Almighty Allah for granting this opportunity for us to hear our president. A lot of people were thinking he's dead. Today we are sure, live and direct, he has spoken to the governor and the gathering. So we are very, very happy. We thank Almighty Allah. May Almighty Allah return him safely back home to Nigeria.
Because I am present, I'm in the midst of people when Mr. President, who is on vacation, or I can say on medical checkup at the United Kingdom, have a direct call with our amiable Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. I was part of the joy today, and I'm very grateful. I cannot express my happiness being one of his supporters and my leader.
In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Acting President Yemi Osinbajo says the Buhari administration is committed to working with the United States in addressing human rights concerns and security challenges in the country. Professor Osinbajo stated this while receiving the commander of the U.S. Africa Command at the presidential villa. He said it is high time Nigeria and the United States deepened their long-standing relationship. The head of the U.S. Africa Command, General Wardhosa, expressed readiness for the U.S. government to accelerate its contributions to development of Nigeria. He added that his visit to Nigeria at this time is to further strengthen the common friendship. Commander United States African Command, AFRICOM, General Thomas Wardhosa, has commended the Nigerian police force for its key role in maintaining security in the country and the entire continent. General Thomas gave the commendation while on a courtesy visit to the Inspector General of Police, Idris Ibrahim, at the force headquarters. The AFRICOM commander also seeks closer cooperation with the Nigerian police. The Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, said the Nigerian police is working with the military in the northeast to restore peace there. He expressed his desires for a continuous cooperation between the Nigerian police force and AFRICOM. To consolidate the gains of counter-terrorism operations in Nigeria, guests on Good Morning Nigeria say good governance, human and environmental security, as well as reintegration of joint task force are key elements to pay attention to. Gufan Chaji tells us more.
Terrorism remains one of the disturbing challenges to national peace and security. Nigeria, however, is recording huge success in tackling the menace, attributing the success to the provision of strategic leadership and equipping of the armed forces. The guests on Good Morning Nigeria say to consolidate the gains of counter-terrorism, it is imperative to take the campaign to the local government as well as check the crime rates at every level, especially the issue of kidnapping.
We want to address the issue of herdsmen moving to displace sedentary farmers.
Okay.
We want to address the issue of education as part of good governance.
That's why we must challenge the psychology of the people. We must have people who know what it is. So good governance is what will stop this rollback, where we can see justice, we can see equity.
Reintegration of civilian joint task force and the deployment of forest guards were also factors x-rayed to sustain the gains of counter-terrorism.
I mean, like the Sambisa forest, there's supposed to be forest guards, for instance, that are supposed to be manning those areas and then reporting back to the military, or to the system, so that, when there are threats, those threats can be addressed, at the early stages before they develop into greater threats.
The guest also reiterated the need for every Nigerian to participate in the fight and for the country to continue to explore regional collaboration. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative has distributed food worth millions of naira to internally displaced persons in Gombe State with assurance for more assistance. Musa Abubakar has details of the report.
The food items, which includes rice, maize, millet, beans, indomie and vegetable oil, were distributed to 1,400 internally displaced persons living in Gombe State. The leader of the delegation, Professor Sunday Ochochi, stated that the intervention is aimed at providing succor for IDPs, saying that the gesture is just the beginning.
It is small, but targeted to bring relief to those who have endured a lot of hardship, and it is going to continue. We are targeting a total of 1,400 households.
We want to have a situation whereby these IDPs will finally return to their homes, especially with the successes recorded by the Nigerian military, Nigerian army. We are hopeful that very soon they will all go back home and engage themselves in meaningful economic activities.
Executive Secretary, Gombe State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Alami Arabs Rukuje, and representative of IDPs expressed gratitude to the federal government for the gesture, saying it will go a long way in alleviating their sufferings.
I want to further assure you that to the best of our abilities, we shall ensure that these materials go to those who need them most.
In Gombe, I am Musa Abubakar, NT News.
Still on IDPs, the country director, Nigeria Program Rescue Committee, Sarah Ndikumana, has applauded the response of humanitarian agencies to the plight of internally displaced persons. Godia Daniel reports that she was speaking while on a humanitarian and assessment visit to Bajabura IDP camp in Yola.
Saddled with the core responsibility of humanitarian services to displaced persons, refugees and victims of persecution or natural disaster, the country director, Nigeria Program International Rescue Committee, Sarah Ndikumana, who was accompanied by Afrobeat musician Femi Kuti, visited Bajabure IDP camps Yola and were conducted around some of the camp facilities as well as assessed the living standard of the IDPs. Sarah Ndikumana, who expressed satisfaction that a large number of the IDPs have returned to their homes, having a population of 2,000 left out of the over 10,000 registered IDPs that were camped, says the International Rescue Committee will continue to assist and also focus on rebuilding the standard of living of the returnees in their various communities.
We help them to rebuild their lives in their homes that have been destroyed, their fields have been destroyed. We seek to provide assistance to them even as they go home.
Afrobeat musician Femi Kuti commended effort of the International Rescue Committee and camp officials at ensuring hope for the IDPs, adding that although a lot has been achieved, more needs to be done through collective efforts to give them a better life.
I will see Nigeria come out of this mess. When you look at it critically, when you look at the gravity at what is at hand, government is not showing enough commitment.
The team was at other International Rescue Committee auxiliary within Yola, which include Women Protection and Empowerment Center, where 20 girls were trained in tailoring and presented them with sewing machines, as well as non-formal learning centers in Jambutu and Rumdebaru, created for mostly internally displaced people's children, who were also presented with learning materials. Plans, they say, are underway for more assistance for the IDPs. In Yola, Godia Daniel.
To learn that plans for the closure of the Abuja airport and relocation to Kaduna are gearing up with various agencies, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And as part of the health ministry is scaling up services to effectively tackle emergencies that may arise in the course of the use of the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway by travelers. Muja Natu Adam Said attended a meeting where strategies are being outlined.
Come 8th of March, the planned relocation of flights from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport to Kaduna Airport will commence. 2 days before the date, it will be exactly 1 year that Nigeria's former Minister of State for Labour, James Ocholi, his wife and son perished on the Abuja-Kaduna road, though a consequence of many factors, primarily the absence of emergency response units along the road continues to rob Nigeria of many innocent souls. As the day draws near, concerns continue to grow, with the Ministry of Health holding this meeting with relevant stakeholders to draw up a plan of action.
This is a pilot project. We are going to learn from it, and it is going to be extended to other road corridors. The aim is to bring emergency response in Nigeria up to modern standard.
As a critical starting point, 11 ambulances will be put on standby to respond to any emergencies along the road. Interagency collaboration will also be enhanced.
From blood transfusion to fire services, police, road safety, it's a very comprehensive group. So it's going to be a very effective response to give confidence to those who are traveling that should all else fail, they will be properly taken care of.
The meeting also resolved to address the issues of delayed service with a work plan of 24/7 shift outline for all emergency responders. In Abuja, Murjanatu Adam Said, NTA News.
This is to let you know that you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. This is nationwide. Lagos is our first port of call, and Jennifer is standing by with the stories making rounds in that zone. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, Gechi. Now, good evening and welcome to Lagos. The much expected trial of a senior advocate of Nigeria, Dele Belgore, could not go on today at the Federal High Court, Lagos, due to absence of the lead prosecutor and EFCC counsel, Rotimi Oyedepo. Vera Chimoba reports that Justice Aikwa adjourned the matter to the 13th of March for definite trial.
The senior advocate of Nigeria, Dele Belgore, is tried alongside former Minister of National Planning, Professor Abubakar Suleiman. Both were arraigned by the EFCC over alleged money laundering to the tune of 500 million naira. EFCC had alleged that Belgore and the former minister conspired to commit the offense on the 27th of March 2015. The commission also accused the defendants of making two separate cash payments of 450 million and 50 million naira without going through a financial institution. The anti-graft agency further put up a claim that the defendants paid the said sum to one Sheriff Shagaya. EFCC had argued that the sums were above the threshold permitted by the Money Laundering Act. The defendants had pleaded not guilty and were granted bail on self-recognizance with an order that they should submit their international passports to the Deputy Chief Registrar of the court. At the resumed hearing today, a lawyer from the EFCC office, Anana, notified the court of Oyedepo's absence, adding that the vehicle bringing him to court broke down on the way. He also informed the court that the first prosecution witness coming from Ekiti State is still on the way. His prayer to the court to stand down the matter pending their arrival was turned down by Justice Aikawa. However, Belgore's counsel Ebu Shofunde also raised an objection to the request, arguing that the court cannot wait for a witness who is still on the way. Justice Aikawa adjourned the matter to the 13th of March. In Lagos, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
Nigerian women have been described as strategic partners in the fight against corruption in the country. This is because of their critical role in the family as home builders. Acting chairman of the EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, said this at the official launch of the Southwest Women Against Corruption campaign in Lagos. Joy Ken Abapoya has details.
It was a gathering of women from different professions, including the media, judiciary, politics, and public service. The EFCC acting chairman, Ibrahim Magu, says the forum is to mobilize women to become active agents in the national agenda to end corruption.
We call on you today to be change agents and help in the difficult task of building a better Nigeria for both present and the future generations.
Deputy Deputy Governor of Lagos State and wives of the governors of the 6 western states assured the EFCC of their support.
The negative effects of corruption are obvious. It's big poverty, unemployment, economic downturn, and social disorder. Let us start the fight from our homes by discouraging any act, behavior, and attitude that aids and abets corruption. As long as we celebrate corruption, it's going to continue to thrive.
Other speakers at the event charged women to avoid mounting pressure on their husbands and stop making unnecessary demands.
We should resist the temptation of pressurizing our husbands beyond their legitimate capacity to provide for us. Let this be our slogan, that corruption is no longer in the Nigerian society.
The Nigerian Women Against Corruption Project is an initiative of the EFCC and the Office of the Wife of the President. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abapuya, NTA News.
Custom officers have been arrested and detained in connection with the smuggling of 661 pump-action rifle into the country. Controller Apapa Area Command of Customs, Jibril Musa, disclosed this, that the importers of the consignment have also been arrested and detained. Ademola Adioye has an update.
Controller Jibril gave an update on the investigation being carried out on the clearance and release of the container carrying the boxes of 661 pump-action rifles, said all the officers involved have been rounded up. He added that officers from other government agencies at the port involved in the release are also being investigated.
We have been able to take their statements, and they have made actually very useful statements.
In view of this development, almost all the containers going through the port are now being subjected to 100% physical examination.
We also have serious challenges with manpower, which is to be provided by the port consortium, yes.
Though this process is painstaking and slow, Customs says the security of the country cannot be compromised for revenue generation.
When you are doing it electronically, it's faster than when you are doing it manually.
Customs service should be given some kind of autonomy to be able to procure equipment that will aid their services.
While Nigerians await the outcome of the investigation, stakeholders have posited that Customs needs to purchase scanners for easy detection of arms and unwholesome products and for trade facilitation. From Lagos, Ademola Adioye, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide News on the NTA Network service. Back to Ogechi in Abuja for more on Nationwide News. Ogechi, over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Moving on now, the National Space Research and Development Agency says a partial solar eclipse will be visible in different degrees of totality on Sunday, the 26th of February. The highest degree of obscurity in Nigeria during the natural occurrence is expected to be observed in the southern parts of the country, particularly Port Harcourt, Uyo and Calabar, while the lowest degree of obscurity will be in the northern part of the country, particularly Kebbi State. A statement by the agency's head of media, Dr. Felix Ale, says there is no cause for alarm as solar eclipse, which is a natural occurrence, will be observed across the nation, making each part of the country a great site for viewing the eclipse in different degrees of obscurity. Nigeria's struggle to convert its vast potential in different sectors to tangible success stories of development and collective greatness seems tied to government's ability to win the war against corruption. Fisayo Gufo reports on the dexterity and creativity employed by the present administration to fight the war.
And present danger, which has seemingly metamorphosed into a thriving culture. Corruption looks practically interwoven with the spindle on which the daily dealings of state have been run for years. Curbing this phenomenon, however, looks like an uphill task. But it is a route that the current administration says it must pursue to ensure that the nation's commonwealth is indeed accessible to the common man.
Investigation and enforcement, which is one leg,
The second leg is system study and review, which is not really very well known. That has to do with prevention. And then the last leg has to do with public enlightenment and mass mobilization against corruption.
Corruption is not just enriching oneself, it's actually depriving others. So stopping the corruption means there's more money to do things government should do.
A study by finance experts PwC indicates that corrupt practices could cost Nigeria up to 37% of our gross domestic product GDP by the year 2030. The same study posits that monies equivalent to $1,000 per citizen could be saved yearly, a figure which could rise to nearly $2,000 per Nigerian in the next few years. The key players agree that removing a particularly stubborn leech is not without its toll on the body, as new ideas battle against entrenched systems.
We've looked at areas like ghost workers, people collecting salary that do not exist, people collecting multiple salaries. We're blocking those ones. We're looking at wastage also in terms of what do we spend money on? Where we spend more money on travel than we spend on roads, you cannot develop your economy.
Government says exploring new areas of wealth creation is top of its list. But on the evidence of its recent successes, recovering the nation's diverted wealth could do the citizens a world of good as well. In Abuja, Fisayo Ogunfuyi, NTA News.
In the same vein, the tussle over the recovery of stolen wealth is resonating with Nigerians. Cecil Egbele in this report brings us a chronology of some government's approaches in the battle against corruption.
The fight against corruption by the current administration has so far been hard and long. According to the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC, a total of 1,569 petitions were received against government agencies and other private sector practitioners on cases of corruption in 2016 alone, with a total of 8.7 billion naira recovered. The ICPC has filed 70 cases in court, secured 11 convictions, even as it is pursuing a total of 303 cases in various courts across the Federation. Another key initiative in fighting corruption by the administration is the introduction of the Treasury Single Account, TSA, a cash planning and management tool aimed at plugging leakages and looting of public funds. So far, 4.6 trillion naira of government funds, which would have found its way to private coffers, has been saved, with about 50,000 ghost workers on the government's payroll uncovered. And now, it would seem that owning a whistle is a big investment, and knowing how and when to use it can be most profitable these days. In December 2016, the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, announced the whistleblower policy of the federal government. Under the policy, a whistleblower may voluntarily provide the government with information on corrupt practices, with a promise of a cash reward ranging from 2.5% and 5% of any of the recovered sum, arising from the information supplied by the whistleblower. Only recently, the federal government announced that it has recovered $151 million and 8 billion naira looted funds from 3 sources through whistleblowers, with the biggest amount being $136.7 million recovered from an account in a commercial bank under a false account name. Now you know it pays to own a whistle. While Nigerians are alert, the authorities say looters are shivering and the economy is bouncing back. In Abuja, Cecil Egbele, NTA News.
The federal government, as the protagonist of the multifaceted anti-corruption war, has deployed an approach which promises a handsome reward, not just for the country, but also for active participants. Nando Dikbo in this report examines this unique approach, which has begun to yield some positive results.
This movie is still evolving. The role of lead actor and the supporting act are already taken. The twist to this plot, however, lies in the character known as the whistleblower. While movies are largely products of creativity, sometimes drawn from the vivid imagination of the creator, they are mostly reflective of happenings in the real world. And as far as real-life events go, the whistleblower policy of the federal government transcends the seeming trivial attributes of a movie to merely entertain the viewer. This one intends to realistically fight a monster, corruption. Creating a nemesis for corruption is by no means a frivolous act. So also is the business of managing a whistleblower policy. The new approach in the anti-corruption crusade targets voluntary provision of factual information on corrupt practices by a person or persons. This policy could potentially redress acts of economic sabotage or nip them in the bud. Either ways, it could help move the country forward.
If the government is successful, in at least exposing these cases of wanton stealing of the common resources, it will send the right signals, to foreign investors. Our image, as far as the corruption index is concerned, will also improve.
Patriotism and the allure of cash reward may be enough incentives for the whistleblower, but the guarantee of safety and protection may still be a grave concern until the policy is backed by appropriate legislations.
There's need for a whistleblower legislation. That is the practice all over the world, in all these civilized societies, where people give information, where people volunteer information. They are not left at the mercy of these offenders. They are not left at the mercy of the suspects. Otherwise, people will not volunteer information. In fact, that has been a major problem of Nigeria's criminal justice system.
While government takes the lead in the fight against corruption, expectations are that the citizenry will take ownership of the whistleblower program and report any or all acts of corruption. In Abuja, Nnamdi Ojikpo, NTA News.
You are on to NTA Nationwide. Up ahead, latest strategies to end farmers' herdsmen crisis in Benue State. We shall be back after these messages. Stay with us.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
I come to you in the name of money.
There is mega fortune in town. Easy money to be made. Everyone wants to get paid. And so the scheming, the intrigues in Make Money Miss.
If you bring that 300 beer, if you just wait for 15 days, you know how much go enter? 90 B.
Unbelievable! This week's edition of your award-winning comedy and social satire series, Professor John Boone, featuring the biggest, the best, and the most hilarious stars in Nigerian entertainment.
Now, why you on the name of your own business, I be like a winch name. Asusu.
And showing at 8:30 p.m. every Tuesday and Friday on NTA Network, International, and Star Times.
Sir, the small money that I used to give to you to hold for me.
Oh, yes.
I need it.
Give me 30 minutes.
Prof, I'm less busy. I'm not doing anything. I can actually wait here for 30 minutes.
Professor John Boone is about to unleash.
Over and out.
Brought to you by Glow.
Welcome to the new speed of life.
NTA Properties Investment Company Limited, a subsidiary of the Nigerian Television Authority, specializes in creating comfort in all areas of life, such as real estate investments, that is, land, houses, and office spaces, mass leasing, savings and loan scheme, household items and car loans, and so much more. Other information and entertainment services include Property in Style, a TV program that airs on the network service of the NTA, and also Property Connect, a nationwide magazine. Our priority is to bridge poverty gaps and sustain quality welfare of our clients. Partner with us and watch us help you grow. Pay us a visit today at the NTA headquarters permanent site, Area 11 Garki, Abuja, or our Lagos office at number 15 Awolowo Road, Ikoyi, Lagos. For more information, visit our website on www.ntaproperties.com.ng, or you can email us on ntapeak2000@yahoo.com. Call us on 080-2316-3474 or 080-6939-5185 or 070-3189-0555. NTA Properties Investment Company Limited. The much needed help at your doorstep.
There are over 250,000 street children in Lagos.
The Street Child Care and Welfare Initiative is a sanctuary for street children and runaways. Rotimi Aziz was one such child. 3 years ago, his life was the streets.
It's hard to sleep on the floor because sometimes rain fall and beat us on the floor while we are sleeping outside. So we experience a whole lot of bad things on the street.
NTA Television College, an affiliate of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, a specialized institution charged to provide quality professional education in television production, engineering, and journalism. The college is offering also 1-week intensive course in advanced management techniques for executive officers, CEOs, COOs, managers, and heads of admin. Date 13th of March to 17th of March 2017. Registration 20,000 naira. Another 4 weeks course on principles and practice of marketing for marketing heads in radios and television houses, public relation agencies, media heads in advertising, brand support managers, media brokers, and heads of corporate affairs. Date 20th of March to 14th April 2017. Registration 100,000 naira with accommodation. All courses will take place at NTA Television College Rayfield Jos. For more inquiries, call 08069809807 or call 07036607155 or email us at ntacollege@gmail.com. NTA Television College, training you to be the best you want to be.
Following the approval of the whistleblowers policy by the Federal Executive Council and its launch by the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, patriotic Nigerians have been making inquiries on how and where they could deliver information that could lead to the stopping or uncovering of fraud to the appropriate authority and answers to frequently asked questions. The Federal Minister of Finance has therefore dedicated a telephone line for receiving SMS, a whistleblowers portal, and an email address through which members of the public who volunteer to disclose information about a possible misconduct or violation could deliver such information for the attention of the team dedicated to process such information.
Still watching Nationwide in Africa's largest TV network. Efforts to end farmers' herdsmen crisis continues. Susan in Makurdi Network Center has this and other reports. It's over to you, Susan.
Thank you, Ogechi, and it's good to have you join us in Makurdi. The people of Mon District in Kwanda local government area of Benue State and herdsmen have entered into a peace pact to end a 5-year crisis which has engulfed the area. The peace pact is coming on the heels of the joint security meeting held in the area between Benue and Taraba State. Achigili Magaji has details.
Bitter experiences by representatives of the two parties for the truce to be reached. Having listened to the various submissions, Governor Samuel Otum then expressed delight over the commitment to peace and noted that everything will be done by the two governments to sustain it. Some of the measures to be adopted to sustain peace in the area include the provision of joint security patrol, the constitution of the Anyambe road linking Taraba State, as well as reconstruction of schools, clinics, and residential buildings. However, those that are into logging business have taken advantage of an abandoned primary school due to the crisis to do business. Governor Samuel Otum, who visited the school, expressed worry over illegal felling of trees, describing it as criminal. He therefore directed the relevant government agencies to bring those involved to justice. The logging activities in the area are said to be usually prepared for exports. In Kwande local government area, Achigili Magaji, NT News.
Despite the decline in the reported cases of outbreak of Lassa fever, Benue State government is not resting on its oars to ensure preventive measures. Blessing Omeche Ebute reports on measures put in place.
World Health Organization identifies Lassa fever as an acute viral hemorrhagic fever which is transmitted to humans from contact with food or household items contaminated with the excreta or urine of infected multi-mammate rats. According to health experts, the endemic nature of the disease predisposes people living in rural areas with poor sanitary conditions to greater risk of the infection.
We don't know exactly which particular rat will have it at any time. It is good to avoid coming into contact with rats directly.
In Benue State, for instance, where rats are considered a delicacy, there is a greater risk of an outbreak if urgent measures are not put in place. Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Dr. Cecilia Ojabo, however, assured residents of the state not to panic as a rapid response team for the prevention and control of Lassa fever is on ground to avert any eventual outbreak.
The teaching hospital has an infectious unit, and it's always at a standby in case we have an infectious disease like Lassa fever.
She further advised the people not to take for granted the importance of healthy environment. In Makudi, Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA News.
And that does it from Makudi. It's back to Ogechi in Abuja for more on NTA Nationwide.
They're moving on now. The Budget Office of the Federation says its doors are open to all users of budget information to allay misconceptions about the document. Director General of the Budget Office, Ben Akabweze, while speaking in Abuja, expressed the commitment of his office to continuous improvement of the budgetary system for optimal national development. Details with Leah Katung Babatunde.
The 2017 budget, which is currently before the National Assembly, has had its share of debates with many grey areas in need of clarification. The Budget Office therefore stood up to challenge and kept to its pledge to open up the federal government's budget process to public scrutiny and participation by inviting the media and civil societies to clarify areas of public contention. The controversial gatehouse for the Vice President, State House Clinic, and a host of other allegations of partying were dispelled by Ben Akabweze.
It is important to note that there are over 800 MDAs, which must make provision for expenses related to the budget exercise.
Responding to torrents of questions fielded by those in attendance, the DG Budget Office elaborated on items with contradictory rates by MDAs, welfare packages, outsourcing of security and cleaning services, as well as utility costs, noting that items, especially the capital components provided for in previous budgets, still in the 2017 document, were not funded in the past.
The truth, again, is that for years now, government has not been able any year to fully fund even the overhead provision of the budget, because personnel is prioritized. Personnel costs, but overheads are not necessarily fully funded.
The 2017 budget, he said, is available online, adding that the introduction of the web-based application in the preparation of the 2017 budget eliminated glitches experienced with the 2016 budget. Akabweze called for constructive engagement to make the process better. In Abuja, Lekatung Babatunde, NTA News.
Still on the economy, the Nigeria's Sovereign Investment Authority says it is refocused on its attention on domestic investment, driven by the compelling opportunities in the domestic market. This is a drive to sustained economic development for the benefit of all Nigerians. Managing Director of the authority, Uche Oji, said there is the review of financial performance for 2016 and the outlook for 2017. Justin Bemuni reports.
NSIA's core mandate is to receive and manage funds on behalf of the three tiers of government to invest in a diversified portfolio of medium and long-term assets. The authority says year 2016 was a fruitful one in spite of economic challenges. This year, it is tilting its investments to the domestic market as it plans to run a fertilizer production program which targets the production of 1 million metric tons for farmers at a 30 to 40% down the current price. Other investments will be in commodity exchange, operationalization of infra credit, and social infrastructure.
We made headline profits of as at September
of 142 billion naira, of which 54 billion is actual core investment income. And then there's the impact of revaluation, of course, as we went from 196 to 304. But I think that we're seeing more and more domestic opportunities here, so you're going to see more of allocation of our investments into the domestic markets in 2017.
As investors, the NSIA sees a valuation of assets in the country coming down significantly as another opportunity to drive investments.
Because our local investments right now is less than 10% of the portfolio, much less than 10% of the portfolio is about, single digits, mid-single digits in allocation of a portfolio. We want to do more because we're now seeing a lot of opportunities.
The authority also aims to catalyze co-investment from strategic investors. In Abuja, Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Nigerians have again been assured that God will continue to intervene and deliver the nation from economic recession, insecurity, and other social vices to restore needed peace and harmony that will bring about the desired advancement. Primate of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, gave the assurance at the 2017 Standing Committee meeting of the church held in Abuja. Anthony reports that the State Governor Abikunle Amesi was also present.
The 2017 Standing Committee meeting, the Church of Nigerian Anglican Communion, with the theme I Am That I Am, and tagged Egba 2017 according to the primate of the church, the Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, was to reflect on the current realities of the country, discuss its roots, and suggest solutions. While speaking further, the spiritual leader said that there was need for government to ensure that in its bids to fight corruption, the scope was spread across all tiers of government. He called on the federal government to come up with policies aimed at disarming the herdsmen for peace to return to the northern parts of the country.
The government wants us to live in peace. They are the people controlling violence. They have all the weapons, they have all the money, they have everything. They should control these people. They should disarm these people so that Nigerians can be at peace.
In their goodwill messages, the Alake and paramount ruler of Egbaland, Oba Adedotun Aremu Gbadebo, and the former head of National Interim Government, Chief Ernest Shonekan, noted that the meeting came at a time when the country was facing rigorous economic backlash. They enjoined Nigerians to continuously pray for relative peace and quick turnaround of the nation's fortune. The state governor, Ibikunle Amosun, in his address, maintained that it was only by the grace of God that the country is still existing in the Committee of Nations, with a call on religious leaders to call on God through prayers for divine peace. While calling for religious harmony and tolerance among Nigerians, Governor Amosun appealed to those fomenting troubles in any part of the country in the name of religion to sheathe their swords, as no religion preaches violence but peace and love.
No state or nation can develop in an atmosphere of insecurity, as this will discourage investors from investing and even coming to the state.
Prayers were thereafter said for peace in Ogun State and Nigeria at large. In Abeokuta, Anthony Gandonu, NTA News.
In a similar development, dependence on God's intervention in times of need is said to be crucial in any societal development. Consequently, federal civil servants in Abuja converged on the Chapel of Hope Federal Secretariat, Abuja, to leave the country before God for his intervention these challenging times. Basi Taikman has a report.
Let the people praise God. The annual Thanksgiving, the coordinators noted, is a forum for the civil servants to collectively praise God and present the state of the nation to God.
But in the midst of it all, God has seen us through, God has sustained us. So we felt we have every reason to glorify God. That is why we gather together to magnify the Lord, give him praise for all he has done for us as civil servants.
That is the only thing that we owe him, for sparing our life. For making us to even be a disservice, it's another thing entirely. Many people are in the town, they are looking for it, they couldn't get it.
They prayed for the continuous unity of the nation and for God to guide the leaders aright. Basi Taikman, NTA News.
The name Kaduna State Police Command says they have intensified their effort to secure the release of the 2 chairmen kidnapped at Kaganko local government area of Kaduna State. Osna Yabe, who spoke with the police commissioner, reports.
The names of the abductees given by the police are Professor Peter Bunin and Johannes Bringer. Professor Peter is the leader of a 4-man team from the University of Frankfurt, Germany, working in collaboration with the National Commission for Museums and Monuments on the relics of Noh culture in Nigeria. The archaeologists were abducted from the excavation site at Jajala, a village in Kagorok local government area in Kaduna State. The Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, Agiole Abi, who is out with his men in the area of abduction, said in a telephone interview with NTA News that the abductors have open communication with the family of the victims, while police operatives under the anti-kidnapping and cattle roasting squads are covering the area to rescue the victims. He said the police will keep details of the operation and all the communication between the abductors and their families to their chest, assuring of their safety. Kagorok local government area is in the southern part of Kaduna State, not too far from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Kidnapping of high-profile people in Kaduna State was brought under control by the Special Anti-Kidnapping Squad before the latest incident. In Kaduna, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
20 suspects have been arrested by Ekiti State Police Command for the murder of a superintendent of police and other criminal offences in the state. State Commissioner of Police Mr. Wilson Inalego, while parading the suspects, said they will be prosecuted at the conclusion of investigations. Kola Adeboboyi reports.
The 26 suspects were apprehended for various offences committed on 9 criminal cases, including arrest of a 21-year-old Johnson Oluwatosin, who beheaded 14-year-old boy in Ifake Ekiti, and killers of Superintendent of Police Idowu Taiwo and an engineer Kunle Enison, both in Ado Ekiti.
The command was able to apprehend 11 suspects that were connected with the killing of the officer in charge, mechanized salary section, OCMSS, a superintendent of police Ido, and one engineer Enison, all in December.
Others are armed robbery suspects, kidnapper suspects, and a fake police inspector who specialized in terrorizing members of the public, while items such as double-barrel guns, cartridges, phones, and cash were recovered from them. Another breakthrough was the arrest of 10 students of a College of Health Sciences and Technology in Ekiti State for gang rape, including a female accomplice.
Another achievement we recorded was the falling of armed robbery, the arrest of an armed robber, and the recovery of suspect cell. The Nigerian Police Force, Ekiti State Police Command, working in cooperation and collaboration with sister security agencies, has been able to provide an atmosphere of peace and security.
The police command says the suspects will be charged to court at the conclusion of investigation and wants residents to always assist the police with useful information that will enhance security agents' name in the board, criminalities in the state. In Ado Ekiti, Kola Adebobuyi, NTA News.
Nigerian Society of Engineers has suggested the need for its members to be appointed as heads of ministries, departments, and agencies with engineering mandate. This was at the Forum of Engineers, the National Assembly, with the leadership of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in Abuja. Adepola Brooklyn Sunday filed a report.
In his submission, Deputy President of the Society, Adekunle Mokwolu, emphasized that this will ensure accuracy, precision, and unhindered progress of all sectors of the economy.
Focusing first on what can be the foundation to take us out of the recession. And what can take us out of the recession is to start thinking of revitalizing and resuscitating our ailing, manufacturing industry, so that people will get more jobs. There will be production. It's not that you are moving money around.
And even we are looking at the younger engineers, because this interaction is trying to come up with a bill or whatever means to ensure that our younger engineers get a special salary scale to match what they are designed for, like the medical doctors and those in the law profession.
They said They have so far presented some bills before the Senate and the House of Representatives towards ensuring the relevance of members in the development of the nation. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Nigerian journalists have been urged to redirect their focus to developmental journalism and eschew quackery in the profession. This formed the thrust of the presentation of NUJ 2016 year book, a practical guide to journalistic writing. Joseph Rodson reports that contributors called on relevant authorities to clamp down on fake journalists.
Maxwell Esegbe has worked as a journalist for over 30 years. He tells me his experience has been somewhat revealing, especially as he had to deal with some unethical colleagues in the course of duty.
Things will change. For instance, the NUJ, the Nigerian Federation of Journalists, the Nigerian Organization of Journalists, they are gradually coming together to make sure that this issue of fictitious writings by fake journalists are being expunged totally from the society.
Well, coming together here to forge a way forward are members of the Nigeria Union of Journalists and Development Partners, where the Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives were represented.
We are there to support you because we believe democracy will not hold sway where journalists, professional journalists for that matter, are not alive to their responsibility.
A compilation of different perspectives, NUJ's 2016 yearbook, an annual compendium that documents events in the country, alongside a practical guide to journalistic writing, were presented to the public.
What we are seeking through is the legislation that will give us a backing that anybody that contravenes the ethics of the profession can be dealt with under the law.
Ultimately, this book, A Practical Guide to Journalistic Writing by Bolu John Folayan, contains the key to thriving and not just surviving through the ever-evolving practice of journalism. So whether you are a practicing journalist or an upcoming, professionalism should fundamentally be the watchword. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
16 rebels killed in fighting with the army in Congo, Ecuador to hold run of polls to choose new president. These and more on Global Tidbits with Teletu Ezerike.
Reports of tough times for militants in the Congo as the military says it has killed at least 16 former members of a rebel group who have re-entered the eastern part of the country. The government had warned in January that the former rebels in Uganda were regrouping and crossing back into the Congo to cause havoc. Similarly, Iraqi forces have recaptured Mosul Airport, a key location in the government's fight to drive ISIS militants from its second city. From Ecuador, the Electoral Commission has announced the presidential runoff elections for 2nd of April to elect a new president. And a research by Imperial College London shows that eating more fruits and vegetables could prevent nearly 8 million premature deaths yearly. That is on Global Tidbits. Talati Ezerike, NTA News.
Talking sports now, Nigeria National League and Nigeria Women Football League hold congresses in Abuja, set to begin the season in March as Juventus pick vital points in Portugal in the UEFA Champions League. Tamara Biwe tells us more on Sports Update.